To hell and back is in the job description. Being roughed up, scuffed up, run over, kicked, thrown, dropped, dunked, and done the unthinkable is a duty we've embraced for more than 40 years. Through superior engineering and constant innovation, only Pelican has conquered the chaos a life of ambition can dish out. And we've done it to empower you.
Yak Gadget, made in America, based outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Yak Gadget offers all kinds of storage accessories, quick mount motor mounts, anchor systems, track mounted accessories, even paddles. Go to yakgadget.com and get your kayak decked out for your next trip out on the water.
The 153 Bait Company, based in Troy, Ohio, make everything from plastics to custom painted hard baits. Hook 'em hard and hook 'em often. All of our baits are made to order, and all of our hard baits are hand painted to order. So go to the153anglers.com to place your order today.
All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Slifka. Today, I do not have a guest. I kind of want to introduce myself, basically. I didn't really do that when I first started, and kind of go through how my seasons has gone so far. I'm definitely a bass angler, as most of you already know. I've been doing this been fishing seriously for about 8 years, whether it be co-angler, boat side, or kayak, or just doing shows and working with people. And then this year, I want to say, where should we start? This year, I decided to take it very, very seriously and kind of up my game and commit to a trail. And I kind of want to talk about the mindset of what I went through from the start of this idea of being a tournament kayak angler and kind of where I'm at now and kind of the road it took and the mindset of keep going and to not stop. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot of people to thank for this, including this podcast and the people behind it. So I'll start. Let me take a drink of water real quick. All right, so I'll start here. Early February, I decided I wanted to get very serious about the kayak game. And what that drove me to is looking to get a better kayak and a more angler-specific kayak or fishing kayak per se. So in doing videos and everything, I decided on a RS-117 kayak from Bonafide, and my journey kind of started there from, obviously we're not all made of money, so definitely had to save up the money for it, and that took a little time. I ended up getting the kayak about March 1st. We were still frozen though, had to wait about 2 weeks to finally get it on the water. The first time on the water, I really loved it. And the mindset was to get as comfortable with that kayak as possible before the first tournament, which was for me going to be the Paddle and Fin Trail Series on the Tippecanoe River. And so I spent literally every day almost getting on that kayak, learning the kayak before I put any electronics on or any motor or anything. And it took a lot of time away from family, took a lot of time away from everything, took a lot of time, away from the kids. And then it takes a lot of money too, gas to get to these places, gas to, and then money for baits. And then I had to put the electronics on there. So that cost money, what I'm trying to get at here is this sport is very, very expensive, and that takes a toll on you, and it takes a toll on your mindset too. Um, so fast forward, got all that stuff I needed, uh, and then we get to that first event, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's not my first tournament, but yeah, I had that feeling like it was, that feeling of should I go, should I not go, do I really need to commit to this, how bad do I really want this? And what ended up happening there was I ended up going. It was only a 2-hour drive. I ended up taking 5th place, catching 3 fish, and one being I think a 17-incher. And from that, I learned that I can do this, and that I was that I was meant that I can achieve my goal of this. And so from there, I started taking it very, very seriously, even more. Doing the map study, doing the Google Maps, and after that tournament, I would say something ended up breaking. I had a lot of electrical issues after that tournament, and a lot of things that I need to fix, and kind of put me down. Taking 5th place in your first tournament where you're fishing Midwest Regional Series, and it was tough to come out of that and knowing you cash your check, but now you have all these extra expenses that you were hoping you didn't have. Plus, I was still out fishing now every single weekend or every single chance I got. And then I had motor issues going into that. And then I think, I want to say 3-4 weeks later was the Michigan tournament. And I went into that feeling very confident after the very first tournament. And then I went and practiced one day for that event. Yeah, I practiced that Friday. And the mindset was to go out there and, win. Like the mindset always should be, is to go out and win. So I practiced that day. I thought I found some good fish. Went into tournament day very, very, very confident in what I found. And it turns out I didn't really find them. I just found the easy ones to catch. And that I was happy I still took 15th, but at the same time, I was a little upset that I didn't finish in the top 10, given that I felt like I found something. And when I really didn't, I put a lot of effort, a lot of time into pre-fishing, map study, and hours on Google Maps trying to figure this out. And it just did not turn out my way, unfortunately. But at that point, to be honest, I haven't took a day off since March. At that point, and it was the season was already wearing on me. Keeping up with the social medias, keeping up with all that stuff, and feeling not necessarily burnt out, because every day I go fishing. I love it. Any chance I get, I go, because I know I'm passionate about fishing. But I think burnt out from the traveling and from just that everyday grind. I going to work, then going fishing, then going home, a couple hours sleep, and just that repeat. So the very next week, I think I took the next week off just to give myself a break, have family time, because when you get as involved as and determined to do this stuff, you sometimes forget that there's other things besides fishing. And I heard this from a ton of pro anglers and a ton of kayak guys who do this for way more than I do it, and for a lot more money than I do it, obviously, in big professional status, if you would. They say the same thing. Make sure you find a good balance. Yes, you have to grind. Yes, you have to pay your dues and such, but you also can't forget about other things like family and everything else. And at that point, after that Michigan tournament, I kind of had to take a little bit of a break from fishing every day and working on map studies and everything. And then I kind of took a little bit of a break. Went into June, which was the Madison tournament. As you guys probably know by now, I committed myself to the Paddle and Fin Trail Series this year. Before I even knew who they were and who the podcast was, I just knew it was a good Midwest series, and it's something that I needed to do. Fishing on the local level wasn't going to get me to the point I needed to get to. I really needed to challenge myself and see if I could fish with some of the best anglers out there. And so after the Michigan event, the AOI standings came out. I think I was sitting 5th, I believe. I'm not exactly sure at this point. I was sitting 5th, I think, and that kind of really got me excited and a jolt of energy going into that Madison event. And I took two days off for practice for that Madison event, going in there with whatever I had. At that point, I have already lost 2 rods, one to a muskie, the other one just to bad management while I was on the kayak, where I happened to not tip the kayak, but I happened to hit the rod, and it kind of sunk in the water as I got to watch it. Along with that, I lost sunglasses, so it was kind of from that Michigan tournament to that Wisconsin tournament, it got kind of expensive. Thankfully, I have good friends that helped me out with some rods and some gear for that Wisconsin event. But up until that point, I really couldn't. I couldn't properly pre-fish. I couldn't really do what I wanted to do for that event, and I think that played a factor into it. It's not necessarily an excuse, because you can literally go out there at one rod, and as long as you have confidence in yourself, you can win any event. Most of the times I go in there with the mindset of doing one technique, and that's what normally ends up happening for me. I'll do 1 or 2 techniques and catch all my fish on that and do that the rest of the day. So, but I think it plays a factor, just knowing that you don't have the gear that you're used to having. Going into pre-fishing definitely kind of hurt me. But I explored there was 3 different lakes we could fish out of, and I explored 2 of them in pre-practice and caught 1 fish. So when I caught that, when we got to tournament meetup, or the captain's meeting, I was kind of down, I would say. I'm normally always a happy guy, but I was kind of down that I didn't find anything. I didn't necessarily do what I wanted to go out there and do, especially when most of my experience on the kayak and fishing out of a kayak has been on those waters. To only find 1 fish kind of hurt. So going after the captain's meeting, I finally picked up 2 rods, picked up a reel, 2 reels actually, a spinning reel and a baitcaster, and just rigged up for the next day. my plan was to fish the one lake out of the 3 that I did not fish and just go have fun. That was the mindset of it. And I went into that, that day, I should say. I got to the lake, I seen grass, and I was like, I'm just going to fish the grass all day. If it's either going to work or it's not. And either I'm going to be last place or I'm going to find a way to win. And that's kind of in a mindset situation, that's a hard thing to do. And I had to take a little sip of water. But so in a mindset situation, that was a hard thing to do because a lot of people normally break down at that point. 2 days, one fish. They're not where you were hoping they would be. They're not where they were, but when you've been there before, and it's a hard thing to deal with, and I know a lot of people deal with it. And there's a lot of pros out there that have to scrap their whole plan come tournament day and still find ways. And I just kind of kept that in my head that all I needed was 5 bites. It didn't have to be, the best 5 bites at that point. I was just thinking, just stay in it for Angler of the Year. Even if you can't win this event, just try to get Angler of the Year points to keep yourself in that top 5. So when I went out there that day, I started with the top water. Didn't really work out. But what I noticed now, thinking back at it now versus during the event, the second I pulled up to that boat ramp, I was just in a good mood. I was happy for some reason. Before I even seen the lake, before anything, I was just happy to be there, basically. And I think that helped me out a ton because I went out there and just fished, basically. And just like you'd go to your local lake or local pond, and you don't really have a game plan, you don't know what lure you're gonna be throwing or anything like that, and you just go out there and have a fun time. That was my deal. That was my plan. And I feel like I executed it. I started with a topwater. I wasn't feeling it, and then I went to kind of like your mid column and just went and looked for things that looked familiar to me where a bass would be at, and use that mindset and that knowledge of just keep casting. I threw a lipless crankbait out there early morning, and the reason I'm saying a lipless crankbait is because I've never thrown those before. I literally own 2 of them, and one of them I bought at that tournament. And I just threw it out there just to throw it out there. I knew there was grass around. I knew bass love lipless crankbaits around grass, so I threw that out there. Ended up didn't hook a bass, but I did hook a walleye, and that was pretty sweet. Excuse me. Gave me a ton of confidence, and in the day, it kind of brightened up the day. Like, hey, that's awesome. If this tournament ends right now, hey, I caught a walleye and a lipless crankbait. I caught a fish I'd never caught before. I've never targeted before, but I never caught before on a lure that I never throw. Like, this is gonna be an awesome day. And then I ended up finding something that I got really, really comfortable with, which was like matted grass and pockets in the grass, and I just threw what I knew how to do, and I put the mindset in it of I'm going to throw the drop shot that I know how to throw, in these grass patches, and this is what I'm doing today. And either I'm going to catch them or I'm not. And I ended up catching 4 that tournament, all on a drop shot. I mean, could I have caught them on something else? Probably. I know guys were catching them on other stuff, but the point of this the story is I put it in my head that I'm going to throw the technique I know the best to catch fish the way I know how to catch them. And with that mindset, I ended up catching 4 fish. I finished 19th in the tournament, which wasn't the finish I wanted, but I left the tournament proud and happy that I had 2 days of practice, only caught 1 fish in those, and I still found a way come tournament day to at least put 4 fish on the board. And technically I should have had more if I executed hook sets, but we can't live on the past on that. And I always try to move forward after those events or those lost fish or anything like that. And so coming out of that event, I was, I felt like I won, even though I didn't win. Where I kind of won the day for me, where I went in no confidence whatsoever, no idea what I was gonna do, and I won by catching those 4 fish because I overcame a negative thought and put in the mindset of I'm gonna find them no matter what. So and now going out of that event, I gained confidence in myself and in my techniques, and now I think we're about 3-4 weeks out from that event when I'm recording this, and I feel really good in what I've been able to do as far as fishing wise. As far I'm second in AOI points for the Paddle and Fin Trail series, and I got the biggest positive mindset ever going onto the water every single time, and it's really thanks to those tournaments and just being on the water a ton and not really sticking to one pattern versus the other pattern or one rod versus another rod. It's more of a man, I need to take some water. It's getting very dry here. Like I was saying, it's more of the mindset of going out there and just doing what you love. So that's what I keep doing, and that's what I'm gonna continue to do. And yeah, it's this year has definitely been an eye opener versus what for what I can do and what's possible. Instead of always guessing or hoping or thinking I can't do this or I can't do that, I end up I just took a chance, basically. I didn't really have the money to take a chance, but I kind of knew it was going to work out. And so far it has. Now going into these next events, my goal is Angler of the Year, as I've preached all year long, and at least one more check, and to possibly be at the national championship at the end of the year. Going into the year, I didn't think it was possible. Sitting second in AOI points and knowing that it's a possibility, it's making me happy. I've achieved a lot in the last couple months. So, yeah, I mean, this episode probably isn't going to be the longest episode. It might not be the most entertaining episode, but just kind of wanted to let you guys know how my mindset has been throughout, this season, and kind of my drive through the start of this to now. It's been ridiculous, there's days where I feel like I'm burnt out. There's days where you want to give up, but you just gotta keep going, man, because it's definitely worth it. And other than that, I mean, like I'm saying, you can't. If you want this, you gotta work for it, man. You gotta work for it. And I hope to inspire someone with this podcast and with this episode. So I'm gonna sign off, and I hope you guys enjoyed this short one and enjoy a couple of the stories, and definitely appreciate everyone who has supported, and definitely appreciate everyone that supported this this podcast and the Paddle and Fin Network, and just me personally.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com